This week, Thanksgiving week, we wanted to spend a couple of minutes every day just talking a little bit about things we're thankful for. And one of the things that we can all be thankful for are our vets, the guys who have really gone the extra, not mile, 3,000, 10,000, 100,000 miles for us, and have really put everything on the line for our freedom, the things that we're really, truly supposed to be thankful for, our rights that come from God. We are grateful that He gives us those rights. We're grateful that we live in a country that has recognized these rights, and we're grateful for the men and women who fight to preserve those rights. Ken Fisher, you might know the last name from the Fisher House. Ken Fisher is with us. The Fisher House is kind of, in case you don't know, I would describe it as like the Ronald McDonald House of the military. When a vet needs something in the hospital, the Fisher House provides a place for the family to come and stay so they don't have to worry about it. And Ken Fisher is here. Your father was the founder of the Fisher House, right, Ken?
No, Glenn. It was started by my late uncle, Zachary Fisher.
Okay. And he's one of the only guys was ever made, it was Bob Hope and Zachary Fisher that were made honorary servicemen, right?
Yes. Zach was designated by Congress as an honorary veteran because he couldn't serve in World War II due to a knee problem that he sustained in a construction accident.
And so how did he start this? What happened?
It came to his attention back in the late 70s that the USS Intrepid, which was the aircraft carrier, which had sustained so much loss of life in the kamikaze attacks of World War II, was going to be decommissioned and sold as scrap. And Zach led the effort to rescue the Intrepid from the scrap heap. He brought it to New York. He moored it on the west side at the time when the west side docks, the waterfront, was a demilitarized zone in itself.
Yeah.
And converted it into the Air, Sea, and Space Museum it is today. When he was done with that, he was so enamored with the concept of helping veterans and helping the military that he asked Pauline Trost, who at the time was the wife of the Chief of Naval Operations, Pauline Trost, what he could do, what more he could do. And she made him aware of the fact that when families came to visit their loved ones in military and VA hospitals around the country, that they didn't have a place to stay, that they would have to check into hotels, which many, if not all of them, could not afford, especially if it was a lengthy hotel stay. So Zach mobilized immediately and built the first 10 to 14 with money from his own pocket. And this was about 1990. We're actually getting ready to celebrate our 25th anniversary year. And that was the birth of Fisher House, was just a simple phone call that there was this unmet need.
Now there's 70 of these homes?
There'll be 70 when we're done with our next batch. We have 64 in operation today.
How can anybody get involved?
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can get involved in Fisher House. You can do the obvious, which is make a donation. You can go to our website, fisherhouse.org, and it will tell you about the variety of initiatives that we have. There's the lodging initiatives. We've got a program called Hero Miles. And Hero Miles is where it's a partnership with the airlines where people can donate their unused frequent flyer miles. We, in turn, use those miles to purchase tickets for family members to be able to go back and forth. The government takes care of the first trip. But as we all know, the world doesn't stop when a loved one is in the hospital. Bills keep coming. Children need to be raised. Mortgages need to be paid. So families, in many cases, need to go back and forth, or get respite, for if nothing else. So Hero Miles helps them do that. It's a means to where we purchase the tickets. To date, I think we've purchased almost 70,000 tickets. And then there's other programs such as our scholarship programs, one of which the president helped us start, our legacy for those who have been killed in the line or 100% disabled.
I will tell you that one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on is we're looking for things that we can all agree on, and I know this is one of the charities that the president gives to, and it's one of the charities that we believe in strongly, and it's something that we can all agree on and all be thankful for, that you guys are helping and out on the front line, not just helping our injured veterans, but helping their families, because when these guys are hurt, the whole family is hurt. And, you know, it's like, honestly, it's like cancer. Cancer doesn't just affect the one person in the family. The entire family has cancer at that point.
Yeah, that's right, Glenn. And, you know, one of the things there's a couple of things that we forget. We've become very good at honoring our servicemen and women and our veterans. But we need to remember that the military is a subculture of our society. And because men and women put on the uniform, they don't just get wounded in battle. They do get cancer. They do have training accidents. They do, have problems with pregnancies and problems, with health problems with infants and so forth. So it's not just the war wounds that we have become aware of. It's the other things that affect all of us. And the other point that you made, which is a great point, is that military families make sacrifices that the average American has no concept of. I mean, it's not just, the deployments and the long deployments and the spouse having to pick up the load when their loved one goes overseas, to defend this nation. They also, sustain hardships, and we become better, and the issues have become more focused upon. But still, we don't really appreciate that the whole family serves, not just the one that you see.
Ken Fisher from the Fisher House. I will tell you that when I had a bishop tell me one time when I said, I don't know exactly how to give, how do you be charitable and how are you responsible with your stewardship? And he was a guy who actually in the years gone by had worked for Goldman Sachs, and he said, I have a very different look at things. He said, I look at charities as an investment, but an investment in people. Who gives the highest amount of money to the end recipient? Who is actually, when you're putting $1 in, how much of that dollar actually goes to the person that you're trying to get that money to help? Fisher House has one of the highest, if not the highest, ratings on all of the charity watchdog websites. This is a great, great organization. And Ken, we thank you very much for everything that you guys do. We really are thankful.
Well, thank you, Glenn. It's this began for me as a desire to continue a legacy, and it has become an absolute passion. And just to add one thing, what Fisher House does, we've been doing for 25 years. And it's using our family skill sets in construction and development. So 96 cents on every dollar goes to the program services.
Fantastic.
And of that
Wow.
4 cents, only 1 penny is used to fundraise.
That is fantastic.
That's great.
Just fantastic.
Right.
Ken, thank you very much. God bless you. If you'd like to help out and learn more about it, it's fisherhouse.org. Fisherhouse.org. God bless you, Ken. Thank you.
That's a tremendous percentage. 96%.
That's really hard to do.
Oh.
That's really hard to do.
80 considered really good?
Yeah, you get down
75, 80.
Yeah, I think it's when you get down to about 70 cents on a dollar.
You want to probably avoid them.
You start to avoid them. At 60 cents, that's a bad deal. If I'm not mistaken, the federal government, your tax dollars, is between 30 and 40%.
Right, yeah.
So
makes sense.
If they were a charity, the government would put the government out of business. The government literally would shut it down if the government wasn't the federal government. That's how bad of a charity. There's people like, hey, we got our responsibility to help each other. Yeah, we do. So I'm going to go find a private charity like Fisher House, and I'm going to give it where I can get 96 cents on the dollar to go to that organization, to the people that organization is trying to help.
Yeah, and to that point, when they were having all the troubles with sequestration and all those, that argument, and there were, if you remember, they were holding back benefits for some in the military, and the Fisher House stepped in as a private charity and paid for a lot of those benefits for their soldiers.
Wow, that's great.
You know, I mean, it is a really good organization.
There are things, I believe in the trilogy of holidays. I've had this theory for a while, and I just think it's great the way they come. The Thanksgiving is made for us to, it was originally a day of prayer, fasting, and humiliation. We don't pray really much anymore.
It's really with Thanksgiving fasting. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. How we've gone the other direction on that one.
Yeah, and so we're not fasting anymore. And on top of it, humiliation, humble ourselves? Not even. We're not humbling ourselves. So we humble ourselves and give thanks. We're down on our knees. And when we're down on our knees and we're really, truly broken with all of the blessings that we have, that's when we can look and we can see the baby in the manger for Christmas. And that baby promises us a chance to start all over again. And then the last one is New Year's Eve. And the reason why we always fail on our New Year's Eve resolutions is because we haven't done the first two holidays. We haven't prayed, fasted, given thanks, humble enough to see the promise of the forgiveness of sins so we can start again. Start the holiday right this time. Begin with just a prayer of thanksgiving.